And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Black Friday, a chilly Black Friday as well. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our wonderful, talented Ag Director, who's recovering from a cold, Bridgette Readel. How are you feeling today, young lady?
Just fine.
You sound a little better.
Let's not dwell on it, because the more we talk about it, the worse I'll probably have to cough. So it'll be fine.
Well, you sound better, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's coming around. A lot of home health remedies kick in after you've been coughing most of a holiday weekend.
Yeah, that's called Fireball.
Well, no. There's, for many in the Midwest, we all remember the varied uses of Vicks Vapor Rub.
Oh,
and I'm sure everybody's grandma taught them to use that for stuffy noses and put on your chest for a cough. There's even, some people are probably nodding, you're supposed to put it on the bottom of your feet and wear warm socks to bed, and that helps you out. There's all sorts of things. But I think I hold the top spot for the most traumatic Vicks Vapor Rub story for a cold that anybody's ever had.
Okay, how's that?
As a kid, I'm just going to shorten this up by saying that my great-grandmother was involved, and she heard me coughing as I was trying to go to sleep because I was spending a school night in town. So she thought she'd help. And she took a teaspoon and she dipped it in the Vicks jar.
Uh-oh.
And then she dipped it in the sugar bowl.
Oh.
And then she made me eat it. And for those of you who read the ingredients, that stuff is what makes mothballs. But yes, I've survived. It's probably what stunted my growth. But
this just happened once, right?
That'll do it. Well, God, I hope so, because if it happened more than one time, awful.
Oh my goodness! You had to eat Vicks. Well, at least there was sugar in it.
Well, I will never forget the texture of that in my mouth the whole time.
Oh,
it was awful.
I am sorry to hear that. Well, let's hit on the weather, because that'll choke you up a little bit if you like the warm weather. We are stuck in some pretty cold weather. Now, normals this time of the year are in the low 30s for afternoon highs and teens for overnight lows, but we're way below that. In fact, temperatures out there right now still in the single digits, although we are seeing some sunshine. There's a breeze out there out of the northwest between 10 and 15, and that's producing wind chills right now between 10 and 15 below. So bundle up if you're heading out and about. Overnight, after topping out around 9 above today, we'll drop down to 5 to 10 below tonight, with wind chills anywhere between 15 and 20 below. So a very cold night tonight. And then we'll start off with some sunshine on Saturday, but see clouds increase late with highs near 10. And then a little upper level disturbance comes our way on Sunday, and that'll bring us some light snow as we head into the afternoon, with highs right around the mid-teens. Minor accumulations out of that. It should be less than an inch away, it looks right now. But if you're heading into the northwest corner of the state, let's say a couple inches expected out there. And then we'll stay in the teens on Monday. And Tuesday looks like the warmest day. Temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. Hey, heat wave. But then we'll see a little bit of light snow coming in again Tuesday night into Wednesday, with windy conditions by the middle and end of next week, with temperatures in the teens. So, well, at least we're shaking off these single-digit highs. This is, it's not record, but boy, it's well below normal for this time of the year. And again, this is just part of the LRC cycle that, this cold snap that we've been in for it'll end up being a 2-week cold snap, probably even longer. This will cycle back, and when this cycles back later in the winter, it's probably going to be even colder. So kind of prepare for that. And we're almost ready to go into, and if you missed our special last week, geez, it was just the other day. It feels like last week. These holidays, I'm telling you, they screw up your schedule. But we were talking about, we're going to have a dry stretch of this LRC cycle, and then we're going to go into a more active part of the cycle. And during the active part of the cycle, we're going to have anywhere between 6 and 8 storms cycle through the northern and central plains. And during the dry cycles, we'll kind of moderate things a little bit and keep things dry. So we're about ready to go into that wet part of the LRC cycle as we turn the calendar here into December. It looks like after about the 6th, that's when we'll start to see the pattern turn a little bit more active. So something we'll definitely be keeping an eye on. But then It looked like as we headed towards Christmas and into the New Year's Eve holiday, that's when we go into the quiet part of the LRC cycle. So that's great news for any holiday travelers, the way it looks right now.
Well, we may not like it, but cold weather being here, that's just normal. And many people, I'm sure, over the Thanksgiving table talked about the fact that, this has happened before. Oh, it's going to happen again. But welcome to November. Like you said, we may have a chance for a little bit of a warm up in the middle of the month of December. But for right now, it might be cold. But at the very least, right now, it's clear, sunny, and I bet there's plenty of people still outside either shopping or putting up their Christmas decorations.
Well, Addison, our producer, he was out Black Friday shopping. Addison, how bad was it out there?
It's not great.
Okay.
The traffic's about as bad as the lines are, really. Really? Especially towards like the 45th area.
Yeah, that's tolerable.
Yeah.
Okay.
But otherwise, it wasn't too bad. Just the prices were tear-jerking.
Were they like good tear jerking or not bad tear jerking?
Well, for what I was looking for, bad tear jerking.
Oh, that's not good.
There were no Black Friday deals for me this year.
Oh, man.
So Addison, you didn't run out to an online auction and buy like a combine. Maybe you were looking for a loader tractor or something like that.
The thought had occurred to me. I thought it might be funny for maybe next year's Here We Grow
to buy a tractor.
Yeah, if that were to happen.
Well, as you could be our #1 ace cat tractor operator for our whole series.
I like the idea. I think we should do that. I'll get in contact with JT about that. We can make that happen.
All right. You could just let us know if that's what you're up for.
We'll just put it in the station. We'll put it in the station budget.
We should have a work combine.
Oh,
we should have a work combine.
I just feel like we should have one of those.
Because then we can park it right outside by the interstate and then put moving lights on it. Because many John Deere or even Case dealers, a lot of folks are parking equipment and putting the running lights on it, so it looks like the machine is in motion during the Christmas season.
We should.
Those are some of my favorite holiday pictures.
Yeah, yes. We should do that.
And if you are doing that at your place, if you're putting the star on top of your grain bins or your silo, send us those photos. I'd love to put them in our live stream.
Right.
And you can reach me ag@flagfamily.com. If you don't remember the email address, you can call us on the phone line 701-293-9000, and then Addison will just reiterate the email address for you. But I'd like to have those. I think they'd be fun to see what everybody's putting up for the holiday season on the farm.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Bridgette. It's that time of the year. Now, do you have all your decorations up?
Well, later today.
Okay.
So let's hustle this along. People, I got work to do.
Well, speaking of hustling it along, we have a returning guest. Chris from Tech Support Farm is with us today.
Yeah, Chris is going to be joining us here in our next segment. And Chris always brings things that are valuable to those of us who are working in agriculture, because we forget some of the easy things. Passwords, hacking, secure management, the word I can't say, authentication. Oh goodness. No matter what, it's like aluminum for some people. I cannot spit that out. And so, Chris, we're going to talk about some of that, because especially right now, folks are at their year end and they are not only doing their holiday shopping, but a lot of farmers are making big business decisions. Maybe you're buying equipment or land, you're working with your lenders and your tax people, and you need to be sending a variety of documents in a number of ways. And so this will be pretty big conversation piece when we talk with Chris coming up next. Now, before we get to that, just want to make sure that folks are aware. If you're in Minnesota and you're a wheat grower, Minnesota wheat growers are looking for directors, and you have until December 11th as a deadline to apply for one of the positions on their board. Again, this is the Minnesota Association of Wheat Growers, MAWG, M-A-W-G. MAWG is an organization that cares about wheat as a commodity. They do a lot of work on behalf of the growers within the state on a state and federal level. So again, that deadline to nominate a candidate is December 11th. If you have an interest or know someone who does, you can email me, ag@flagfamily.com, once again, and I will make sure to send you the link in order to apply, or where you'll find all of those details. And also, little heads up, many of you had turkey yesterday. I was a little untraditional and went with lamb, But
wait, what happened to the crab legs? I thought you were gonna have crab legs.
Oh, they were both. We had a leg of lamb and some crab legs, so it was pretty untraditional here.
Wow, that's all right.
Almost a surf and turf, if you will.
Right.
So then a lot of hams get picked up this time of the year. To be perfectly honest, this 13-week holiday season is when 70% of the hams are sold in the U.S. Anybody want to take a guess? And Chris, I'm going to open this up for you on your mic too. Chris, how many pounds of ham do you think are consumed just at Christmas? If we have a 13-week run, 70% of the ham in the U.S. is consumed during that time. But just on Christmas, how many pounds of ham are consumed? Definitely use 1 million as your terminology. Okay. No Googling, Wysocki. I can see you. For God's sakes. Chris, Addison, do you guys have some? Yeah.
There's 350 million people in the United States. I'd put it probably in the 4 million mark.
That's a pretty great logic. Addison, do you have one?
All right. Well, he's already like double what I was gonna say, so I'm gonna go around the 50 mark.
And since Dean's Googling, he doesn't get a guess.
But you know what? It's not even coming up. I'm trying. Yeah.
Good. Good.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess what? 30? I mean,
318 million pounds of ham.
Holy cow!
There's a lot of ham.
Now,
wow. A lot of ham.
I had ham for Thanksgiving, and I was shocked at the price. I mean, turkey was super cheap. Obviously, it's on sale for Thanksgiving. But I thought the price of ham per pound was absolutely through the roof. Is there a reason for that, Bridgette? Or
currently it's at its lowest point since June, but it is higher on a year-on-year basis. It's only higher by about 3 cents a pound.
Really?
Ham right now has been up in price. Part of that has to do with input costs for producers and there's some other things happening around the countryside. We've got Prop 12 that's affecting Iowa producers, but that are selling into California. You've got the threat of swine flu. So far, we've been very lucky we haven't had that happen here on our shores. And the demand is up. When demand is up, so does price. Because folks also know that beef prices are up. I mean, protein overall is not cheap. And if you are buying turkey or chicken, you'd probably say the same thing, whether it's ground turkey, etc. Yeah, we do see quite a lot more dollars spent on proteins right now than we did 4 years ago. Makes a difference.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here from American Ag Network, and when we come back, we will talk to Chris from Tech Support Farms. So don't go anywhere. And if you have any questions for Chris or for us, feel free to give us a call, 701-293-9000. Again, that's 701-293-9000. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it. And I think you're going to enjoy the fact that this is such pertinent information on a Black Friday holiday shopping weekend. And we're going to talk with Chris Sherman. He's with Tech Support Farm. Chris is going to walk us through some of the concerns that you may have, especially as we get to this time of the year and you're thinking about big decisions on the farm. Maybe you are sending rental contracts with landlords. Perhaps you are working with your bank on a land deal. You might be sending information to your tax person. If you're doing all of those things, you need to be doing it securely. So, Chris, thanks for coming in today. And can we just start with passwords?
Yeah.
Most of us, I mean, honestly, if someone breaks into my house, the list of passwords is readily accessible. You're welcome. So, does everybody have that? And what should we do different? Because the word password is not a safe password.
You're right. Password is not a safe password, and unfortunately, we have this idea that we have to change our passwords, like every 90 days or whatever. But it doesn't really matter if your password is not secure to start with, right? When we're thinking about like brute force attacks and some of these other things, if you're not using a complex enough password and something that's going to be hard for them to hack, then you're really defeating the purpose, and that's not going to work. Additionally, the little notebook with all your passwords in it.
Yep.
That's probably not the best way to go either. So that's why, we have password managers. But again, we have a tendency of being really lazy, and we don't go through all the security features with those password managers, and we make them vulnerable to being, hacked as well. So if you're not using, two-factor authentication and stuff like that, you're essentially leaving the door open for somebody else to get all of your passwords remotely as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So the password manager, here's my fear. Okay, great. I put everything into this password manager. What if that gets hacked? Doesn't that leave me even more vulnerable?
It does, yeah. And that's why
Okay.
Password managers are designed in a way that you can only use it if you are the person who owns that account. And that's where they give you your setup key. And so if you go out and get a new phone and you try to download it and try to log into it, you have to have that, I think it's like a 28 encryption key that will unlock your account and put it onto a new device. But if you don't use that, and if you don't set that up, then unfortunately your username and password is going to be the only, is the way in. And it's an additional layer of security that most people don't use, and they don't end up saving it. The other issue with password managers is obviously leaving it open on your phone, right? A lot of guys will go.
Oh, you can't do that?
No. Like,
Okay.
I have conversations with guys all the time because they absolutely can't stand the fact that their phone has a password on it, or that you have to have your little PIN code to get into it. But the way I think about it is like if you left your wallet sitting out on the dash of your truck. And granted, I might do that, but the point being that you don't leave your keys in your wallet just laying around, right? You don't leave your purse unattended. You don't leave these kinds of things unattended. And so therefore, if you have a phone that doesn't have a password on it, then suddenly you're allowing people access to your password manager. You're giving them access to all of your internal stuff that way.
And Chris, we were talking off air, and I might be lucky. This is the first time that this has happened to me, but I got hacked somehow. So I in terms of credit card and my bank, and we were talking again off air. Now, would this be in part to an easy password to figure out, or what would be behind this? I mean, it's obviously more common. It's the first time it's ever happened to me.
Yep.
Where a lot of people have been hacked before. So is that a password issue, or what would you think that could be?
So in your scenario, the problem is that what ultimately happened is it was a phishing attempt. And so you received an email from Chase, and then you received an email from Wells Fargo. Mm-hmm. And essentially what they were doing is they were looking for you to reply to that email. They were giving you a sense of urgency that you had to deal with this, that somebody was looking to, get credit under your name,
Right.
and that they were declined. So in a sense, you felt like you were safe because you knew that your credit wasn't used. But at the same time, you wanted to report it. And so the natural thing to do is to reply to that email. And then they're going to ask you questions. They're going to ask you, okay, what is the username and password to your account, and what's your PIN
I
code?
didn't reply to the email.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And see, and that's what, that's part of this whole password issue, is that you are not the first, person that has notified us that, a financial institution has contacted them. And then once they get on the phone with you, they're walking through and they're getting your username, your password, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Before you know it, we had one guy that was on the phone with them, and he's looking at his account, and he realizes that the person he's on the phone with is now trying to has set up a Cash App link, and is Cash Apping themselves the money right out of his account while he's on the phone with them.
Wow.
While he's watching it.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to those passwords, Chris, first of all, we hear don't use the same password if you're sending documents to your tax accountant, the same one that you're using for your Netflix or your Best Buy rewards. You've got to break those up, and there should be more complexity considering more that's on the line, so to speak. Like I should have a better password for my bank than I should for using a loyalty rewards card, correct?
100%. The best way to think about passwords is like locks or keys, right? You wouldn't ever use one of those little luggage, remember the little luggage locks that had the little teeny key back in the
yes,
in the
they were
80s
super
and
cute.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what they were. They were just cute. Unfortunately, you wouldn't want them to be securing your house, right? You wouldn't want them to be the ones that are holding on to, yeah. So the more complex passwords, the more difficult ones that, you're going to be using are going to be for your financial institutions, your tax, accountants, anything remote automation, your dryer management and, any of robotics, stuff like that. Anything that is sensitive that would be critical to operations, I would make sure is the complex, difficult ones.
Okay. And when you're doing those passwords, I think about, okay, like you said, the complex, the difficult ones. What about the fact that I have probably 5 or 6 that I use frequently, and they've got the combination of large cap, small cap, characters, numbers, etc. But if I'm kind of using them in rotation and have been for a number of years, is time to change those out, or am I doing a good thing?
So the things to think about when you're designing a password is not only the complexity of using numbers, characters, upper and lower case, and and special characters, but you also need to think about the length of the password. And if you're going to use it in rotation, that's great, but the point of you using it in rotation is so that you remember it, right? You probably know what those passwords are. We need to get away from the idea of trying to remember these passwords, and we need to find a better way to manage the passwords, because you don't remember, the shape of the keys that go in the front door of your house, right? It's just a key that you keep in your pocket, and you make sure that it's safe and that sort of thing. So we need to get past the idea of trying to remember our passwords, and we need to find better ways to manage it. So, like for us, a strategy at the office, for our company, we use QR codes, and all of our passwords are a minimum of 50 characters. And so there's no way that we would ever remember those passwords, but we use QR codes and scanners to manage those passwords for us. And that's
good Lord, I can't even write that all down at 50 characters.
Oh,
wow.
Exactly. And so when you get a teeny little QR code that, is an unlabeled QR code and only you know what it's for, that's a great way to store your password and keep it safe and off to the side, especially if you keep it locked up. Because if it's unlabeled and you just know what the pattern is and which passwords come first, and that's an excellent way to hold on to it. Password managers, specifically the ones that you pay for, you're gonna have better security. Things like Google Password Manager or Explorer Password Manager, stuff like that, I really would steer clear of those. And the reason I would steer clear of those is because we don't realize how easy it is for us to, accidentally leave a browser open. Let's say that, you're sitting here at work and you've been logged into your personal profile, and somebody comes along and they're like, hey, we're going to take, Dean's, Shields account here and kind of go do some things.
Shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Black Friday shopping on Dean's dime. So But yeah, I mean, that's the whole rationale behind that, because our digital footprint will belie us all the time.
Man,
yeah,
He's
scaring me, Bridgette.
We should be, because let's face it, we actually need to get ourselves together. Frankly, most of us are doing a terrible job, and then we're ticked off when somebody swipes our information, and it's all on us, really.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing that I would start really, thinking about is the way that we interact with the emails and the information that we're giving out on those, because a lot of times we don't realize that we're actually handing over our passwords and our authentication to, to other people on the internet that we don't even know who they are,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh boy. Okay, well, we've got way more questions to ask you. And Chris, for others who might want to call in, you certainly can, and that's on the Red Wing Shoe line, 701-293-9000. Stick with us. We want to keep asking Chris more, and I've actually got a real-life question regarding credit cards, too, because so many of us in the farming world use those for purchases. I want to know a little bit better information on how to protect that as well. Be right back. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for listening today, but also if you're joining us on our live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV, glad to have you there. And if you don't have those items, well, you can. And if you miss any important details from our guest, Chris Sherman, today with Tech Support Farm, you can go follow up on those live streams. Chris, I had a listener send a question to me by text while we were on break. And he said, can you ask Chris if he recommends any products to help in protecting our farm computer and passwords? Norton, McAfee, or something else?
I would say something else. Unfortunately,
the look on your face said that all. Thanks. Okay.
When you get those products and they're free, unfortunately, that's really what you're going to get is free.
You get what you
right?
pay for.
Yes, 100%. Unfortunately, cybersecurity these days has become significantly more complex. And when you think about cybersecurity, like, protecting your home, there's many different layers. And so it's not one product. You're going to have to probably have like 5 or 6 different products in order to, keep all of your system and your computer safe. And that's where, managed IT and managed security providers like us come in, because not only do we provide that, but then we also provide that warranty and that, that additional layer of insurance and stuff if something does go awry. It's transferring the liability over to somebody else if there is an issue and you do get hacked. So I'm not sure if that really answers the question the best, but there are a number of really good reputable products out there, but you have to know and make sure that you're buying all the correct products. So.
Now, Chris, you were talking about emails before, like you get these spoof emails.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know if you get a spoof email from, let's say, a cyber site saying, hey, for a Black Friday special, half price off for cybersecurity for your business or whatever, and you click it? I mean, how do you know? How do you know if a site is legit? If an email is legit? I mean, a lot of times it's pretty obvious, but sometimes, I mean, it's hard to tell.
Absolutely. So the first thing you look at is who's the sender, right? And the best way I can say this is, we were talking, and when we're teaching a class, we have this really great, email from Best Buy, right? And the email, unfortunately, is from a spammer or, somebody phishing. Mm-hmm. And the email itself is from a Gmail account. Well, Best Buy is never going to use a Gmail, right? Mm-hmm. The next thing to think about is that business hours. If the email was sent at 2:00 in the morning, we know that, unless it's an automated reply or something like that, nobody's reaching out to you from customer service at 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
Nobody's customer service is quite that great. The other thing is, you need to be looking for things like, misspellings and grammatical issues and stuff like that. If you ask some of those common sense questions and you look at the email's header and then the body of the email and the footer, it will definitely give you some clear signs as to whether if it's legitimate or not.
Okay.
But the other problem that I would say in regards to emails, especially at this time of year, is is the capital expenditures when you are dealing with your banks and you are dealing with creditors and that sort of thing. If you do have, spyware on your computer or your network right now, and that person is, theoretically reading over your shoulder, I would be extraordinarily vigilant in making sure that you don't go opening up PDFs and attachments on emails and verifying that you're actually talking to your lender or actually talking to your, broker or your real estate agent or something like that. Because we have seen countless times where an email floats in and it looks as legitimate as it can be. It's in reference to a deal that's actually in place or in play, and unfortunately, it was a threat actor, and they just kind of, they take over and your money's gone and things happen. So,
yeah. Well, Chris, first off, all right, we got we have an email from one of our listeners. And it says, what's the first and most important thing we should be protecting? Should it be equipment such as grain dryers, or should it be their bank or insurance, stuff like that?
I would start by protecting your network first, because your network is going to give you access to all of those other things. So if you're protecting your computers, you're protecting your wireless network and your internal network. Mm-hmm. You're actually starting to safeguard everything else.
Okay.
So that would be the first step. The second step is your passwords and utilizing multi-factor authentication to MFA and 2FA and all of that.
Okay, so when you look at credit cards, Chris, is there a way that you can share that information when you're making purchases online that's better than normal methods?
So the one thing that I would say is that there is the little SSL certificate at the top of the web page, and you will see it. It's denoted by a little padlock at the top of the website. Most browsers are not going to let you go to a website that does not have that. The other thing is look at the website that you're purchasing from, and before you go entering in credit card information, make sure that they've got some of those security features in place. In addition to the SSL certificate, there are some other, verify that the website's legitimate, that it is an actual business. From a personal standpoint, I think it was like maybe 7-8 years ago, I purchased a whole set of Milwaukee tools from a website that was just a deal that couldn't be beat. It was not a website. It was not legitimate.
Oh.
And that was a very painful experience. I did not realize that, that was just a pop-up store and they had a deal. And, I mean, when it comes to power tools, we're all kind of a little blind some days.
Wow. Did you say DeWalt? Sign me up. So, okay, I get what you're saying. But when it comes to those credit cards, and one other thing, tell me if this is helpful, Chris. And this is a practice that I've done for a long time. After I get through Christmas, I call my credit card company and change my number, because I figure that's the heaviest time when they're looking for credit card numbers. It's probably been the most used at that point of the season. So if I change my credit card, or maybe I could do it after I do a large purchase, right? If I'm buying on online auctions or something as a farmer, will that help me if I'm trading out my credit card number on a regular basis?
I'm torn on that one, because I don't know that it's going to be as helpful, because they know that speed is of the essence, right? When they steal your credit card information, you're going to wake up the next morning and there's $3,500 in charges, from Chicago or whatever, and you will know by the time it's done. The part that is useful in that scenario is all of the little free trials that you've gone out and done, and you never really remember to go back and cancel it at the end of the 2-week free trial, right?
Whoopsie. Bad deal.
Exactly. And suddenly you've got, 5 different, $19.99 a month things going on. That is really useful, because once you cancel that credit card, then it's just over with. But then you got to go back and reset up all of your subscriptions that are important to you. So.
So there's a lot that we aren't thinking about on a daily basis that we really should be, that could help us just be more careful. And you probably need to tell us all time and time again that multi-factor.
Yes.
That word.
Yeah.
We got to do that more.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's just no way around it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And you can't be, having, Johnson Farms Wi-Fi with the password Johnson Farms. It just, it doesn't fly.
And it happens all the time, is what you're saying. We see that very regularly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can do better.
Yes.
And would you classify that as secure management? That was one of the items that we wanted to talk about today, was secure management.
Yeah, that would be a component of secure management for sure.
Okay. All right, Chris. Folks are at this point realizing they've got some work to do. Should they be all calling you as their New Year's resolution to get better?
I think
and
that
if
would
so,
be.
how are they going to find you?
I think that would be wise. The best way to find us is to go to techsupport.farm or to give us a call at 701-446-8518. And we are all across the countryside, and we'd be happy to meet with you and your friends. And we are more than happy to put on a cybersecurity class if you guys have groups of people that would like to talk about that. And we do, we're very excited to talk about this. So.
Chris, that's a great point. If farmers are listening, or even agribusinesses, if you are planning on hosting a crop insurance meeting, an agronomy meeting for your growers to come in, and you're looking for topics to talk about, this is a great time to call Chris and ask him to be a
100%.
part of that.
Absolutely.
If you're part of a marketing club with a grain elevator, and again, you're looking for people to come in and to be specialists in this realm, Chris is probably your guy. And I bet you'd make some time to do that, Chris.
We would. We absolutely would. I mean, right now, we've got grower meetings booking out. We're talking to farm bureaus all across the United States right now. It is definitely that time of year when guys are out of the field and we're all sitting down for a lunch and learn or whatever. And yeah, it's a great time.
Good.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, might as well sign me up for one. It looks like I got some work to do too.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, all right. Chris, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks
My
so
pleasure.
much, Chris.
Thank
We'll talk
you.
again soon.
All right.
Excellent. All right. Stay
Bridgette,
tuned. We'll be back, folks.
Bridgette, you relax that voice. I'll take it. Yeah, like Bridgette said, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus, 1:52 in the afternoon on this Black Friday, and temperatures are stuck in the single digits outside, and wind chills below zero. So if you're going to be out and about, bundle up, and things aren't going to get much warmer for the next couple of days. In fact, we'll actually see a little bit of light precip moving into the area, a little light snow as we head into Sunday, but if shouldn't be a big hamper to travel. If you're heading out into the western or northwestern part of the state, those areas might get a little bit more, maybe a couple inches, where that could pose some slippery travel. We'll keep an eye on that. It's a pretty weak system, but like the last few, all it takes is about an inch of this light, fluffy snow to kind of slicken things up. So if you're doing any traveling on Sunday, keep up to date on the forecast. Right now, it does not look like a big deal, but something we'll definitely keep an eye on. So all in all, not a bad looking forecast. We could be looking at big storms, but again, according to the LRC, we are going to start going into a more stormy part of our cycle after about the 6th of December, so later next week. That's when we'll start seeing a more active pattern start to set up, and then it looks like it quiets down as we head just around the Christmas time into New Year's before it ramps back up later in January. So, and if you missed our weather special, we'll be putting kind of a synopsis of it with some graphics to show you here, and kind of pinpoint. I know last year we had a calendar online, and we will be getting that put together. We just have to wait for the cycle to set to be able to. We can time out in general when these storms are when we're gonna see a snowy periods, drier periods. But I know a lot of people like that calendar where, all right, let's pinpoint the days of when these storms are going to be rolling through, and we'll get that as soon as that cycle is set, and it's pretty close to being set within the next week or so, and then we'll be able to pinpoint that. So we've had a lot of questions on that, and we'll get that online as soon as we get that cycle length set.
Excellent. All right. So if you're looking for something that's a little non-traditional, I want to give a shout out to the Kensal Public School in Kensal, North Dakota. What they are doing is their teachers decided at the beginning of the school year that every month they're going to focus on something different in agriculture. So they are looking for discussion points on beekeeping, soybeans, corn, beef, and so much more. And I was able to give them a great list of places where they could go to get extra help. And when they do this, each month, all students K through 12 get involved on the projects that they're doing within that specific area of focus. Now, additionally, what they are doing is a non-traditional Christmas program. On December 18th, they are inviting everybody to come in for Christmas bingo. And the students are going to sing some Christmas carols, but it's a fundraiser because they're planning on giving their funds to Farm Rescue. So just a great shout out to them. I think as part of their Ag in the Classroom theme for the year, I couldn't be more proud of the Kensal School District saying we want to do something just a little bit different and bring more agriculture into the lives of all of our students K through 12. So nice work in Kensal. Congratulations on doing that. And to students who might be listening, if you're home on break, maybe you're out shopping with mom and dad and you hear us on the radio today, just remember, I'm also looking for students who will be ag kids, assistant ag directors for me. I need a new student every month, somebody different to come in, be in studio with us, help us go through the questions and headlines that are happening every day, and also interview our guests and just get a behind the scenes look. Some of you may be thinking, I really want to do ag media or ag communications in the future. Here's your opportunity to test drive that before going to work full time. Love to have you for a day. I'm looking for high school students into college sophomores, folks who are active in their FFA and 4-H programs, have a background in agriculture, and want to give this a shot. So if you have an interest, you can email me, ag@flagfamily.com, and I'd be happy to send you the application. Looking to talk to those kids and get things lined up. I would love to start with someone in December. So the more the merrier. Don't be shy and let me know if you're interested. And then also, go ahead, Dean.
No, I was just going to say, if you get the opportunity, I was always told, hey, anytime you can get the opportunity to do an internship or something like you're offering, Bridgette, boy, it really helps in your career. And, you might get on and say, wow, I really love this. And, hey, if they're good, Bridgette, maybe we can have them back as maybe a guest host, right?
Sure. We'd love to have students that get to participate more often because there's always places for that to happen. And when you talk about test driving those new careers, there's also some work being done by agcareers.com, and they have a U.S. classroom implementation kit. So if you're homeschooling, if you are actively teaching in the classroom, maybe you're a student who wants to bring this to your school, education experts from the National FFA organization have created a kit. They're working in conjunction with the U.S. Food and Ag Career Guide. It has lesson plans, activities, worksheets, and resources to help you find successful career paths in agriculture. There are several learning objectives for you to go through. You can demonstrate the importance of preparation for internships, mentorships, and so much more. And if you're interested in finding that kit or being able to use it, again, you can email me, ag@flagfamily.com, and I will happily share that link with you. Always glad to share what's going on, especially with our educators, because the more we can bring into kids, the better. So see you all on Sunday. We're going to have a benefit over at the Moorhead American Legion, right, Dean?
Yeah, stop out there for our coworker Jace, who just had his heart transplant, and he's doing better. So, it's a long road back for Jace, but we're here to help him. So, yeah, stop out at the American Legion at Moorhead Sunday from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So for Bridgette, myself, want to thank everybody. Jay Thomas Show coming up next.